Jolly.
Here we go.
Nope.
Okay, cool.
What's up?
I'm trying to get it on my headphones. Hold on a
That
second.
third failure in a row.
How's it going?
Can you hear me now?
Did you
Yeah.
I've been here for years.
Just chilling. The disco ball. Oh yeah.
This ball. I learned a few things. How to turn.
How to move around in here.
How's it going within the vacuum? First time
Hey.
in the room with it,
Everything.
I think.
Yeah. No. I think it's the first time. Cool.
How long have you been on Minds within the vacuum?
No, I don't remember. A lot. I think like 3 or 4 years. something.
Okay.
No,
That's
it's
a long time.
that. Let
Nice.
me see my profile. I'm not very good at with. You know why? You know,
What?
I got lost in time
Yeah.
after you altered the calendar
Uh-huh.
several times, you get lost.
For sure.
It's true.
You know, it was so funny because in the Discord Imagine Station or whatever talks that we're having, and the whole thing about like Dream Eater or whatever, right? Like I think I talked to John about that or whatever, but there's this like Imaginarium Hangout like 3 years ago or 4 years ago, probably 4 now, where this guy he's no longer on Minds. He like deleted everything on his Minds account, but you could still, like, if you go on the tab, you could still see his blogs. I don't know if you could see his images, but they're like ghost posts. But anyways, he was hanging out, and we had a interesting talk, right? And then at the same time that I was editing that, and then I check Minds, and then like Kevin's all talking about like telepathy and dreams, and then he's talking about like these old stories that we used to write on Minds. And it was just funny because, like, he could have possibly, like, know what the conversation that I was, like, listening to because I was, like, editing it, right? Like, I haven't put it out yet. And then, like, everything he's talking about is exactly what, I was currently working on. You know what I mean? Like, it's so weird.
He was ahead of time.
Yeah, he was ahead of time. Like, he was already commenting on the thing that I was editing.
Man, I'm looking here. I have a 2021,
Okay.
but I think I get into Minds like around 2020. Or
Okay, yeah.
something like that. Yeah, I don't know where I can. That will be a good feature, you know, to have access to that date.
Cool.
It's really cool, you know. I really can't remember how I get there, you know. Why, like, I can't remember. I'm certainly was looking for something more neutral, right? Like more open, right? But I can't remember where I get the link or something, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, and it definitely it's super cool.
Yeah, Minds. It has it has its like ebbs and flows, you know. It's like I've been here since like class of 2015.
Yeah, you both.
Yeah, those were weird times. Like that was like the like funny thing about like Minds. Like it seemed like when you post, because it was so small that like he posted to everybody on like the network. It was weird, but yeah, it was interesting in those early days of Minds. It's funny too because like Kevin went way back in the groups. Like there was this old group called Single Step Productions or whatever. It was supposed to be like this collaborative thing. It was like pre-Imaginarium, and then he posted this thing I wrote, and then I read it. I was like, oh my god, it's so funny because like the same kind of things that I'm like playing around with, but it's so funny because like I brought back to it because like everybody's talking about like AI and creative AI, And you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, it's just funny. Just like today, like, you know, that was like the funny thing. I was watching something, and then they were talking about, okay, so like the full conversation is like, first they're talking about universities and like how bad they are, which is true. And then the guy was like, oh, we should do like trade school, and okay, whatever. And then they were talking about like AI and how they're gonna like make everything obsolete. And then someone said, oh, so like what do we do when there's no need for jobs? And then the one guy that talked about like trade, he was just like and then I was just like, see, like that's like the problem. Like we only have like the framing or the network to say about like work how it is currently now, but like, because it's true, because like a lot of, like, I think this is why like the journalists are afraid, because like these programs like could in some senses they're really good like editors, and they're really good combining to make something seem very simple and explain like a good summary. Like they're very good at that, but they can't. Like I have been playing around with it. Like I asked it to do, because like somebody was talking about like writing poetry, and like everything I read from it's stupid. But anyways, I asked it to do several different poems in different, you know, author style, and I'm like, that's not Allen Ginsberg, that's not Jack Kerouac. And then I'm like, wait a minute, they're like using the same template to like do the same poetry, like because it was like a simple rhyme scheme where the endings like rhyme, and I'm like, oh, this is like something you would write in like high school poetry class. Like this is not real poetry, you know. and stuff like that. And so like people that like in what I was saying, like a conversation before that, are like write to the algorithm or write to school. Like remember Do Better, we were talking about like the different experiences that I had between like say Minds and Steemit. Like when I was in like this writing group for poetry and Steemit, it seemed like I was writing in like a college class or whatever, and then versus like what I got from people submitting for Minds. And like one of them though that I liked the best was from like Frosted Rose, and I'm like, I don't even know if this is like really poetry. Like she's reading from like some psychology book, and then she starts singing like Bob Marley. I'm like, okay, that's good. That was like, I wasn't expecting that from open submissions for poetry, but it was like the most interesting one. You know what I mean? Like it didn't follow like anything that I could predict, and that's what made it cool and made it like unique. But yeah, it's just interesting what's happening with that stuff.
Yeah. I was actually talking with my nephew today about it. Mm-hmm. You know, like where's the limit, you know, of the AI? Yeah. And you know, it's actually acting by, you know, selection and you know, association of information, and that's a level of creativity, right? Yeah. The difference with humans, I think, is that we have access, you know, like something out of something out of the realm of this information, that all the information that already exists. Yeah. So you have to access the novelty and all of that, but that's the limitation of the AI. It's just association.
Yeah, like when that first kind of like chat that I had with the Chat GPT, I was talking about cut-up method, and so it explains cut-up method, and then I kind of like say, oh, what's the relationship to like what you do in cut-up method? And it says, well, we rearrange like our set data to make coherency, but we don't try to create new meaning, which cut-up method is trying to create new meaning out of a set, you know, already like book. It's supposed to cut it up to make a whole new set of meaning, not to make, you know, not to condense that book down to a summary, but to make a whole new, like, you know, language, imagination space, which is like the limit, because it only combines whatever you feed into it. It's a pre-trained model, and so then they go through and say like, okay, this would make sense, and then it can't, like, that's all it could do is combine into like this like advanced level of Mad Libs, right? There's only a few like templates that it spits out like the coherent words in that model or whatever, which is like a Mad Lib.
Well, not only is AI not able to be human, like they're not going to be able to have creativity. For sure. It's also not working at its full capacity, so it won't be able to get to human level fast enough because we're not allowing it. We're keeping it in a box, and like people are using it and they're coming up with things to ask it, and they're finding flaws in it. Like it's censoring Trump. Somebody asked it to write a positive poem about President or Donald Trump, and it said, "Sorry, we can't write on anything that's polarizing and whatever political type stuff." But then they asked write a positive poem about Joe Biden, and it was like, "Oh yeah, sure, no problem." Like listed all kind of whatever, a happy poem about Joe Biden. Same thing with Barack Obama and all these other people, but couldn't do Donald Trump. So it's already getting political agendas built into it.
Yeah, that's normal. You know, it's part. That's part of the situation.
And I'm sure we have a watered down version of what it actually is like, what they have access to. So I'm skeptical about all of it.
Well, I mean, I was watching this other like I forgot what I said. I said something. It's funny to see how the overculture reacts to a novel like narrative. So like I was watching CNN and they were talking about it, and then like I forgot exactly what they said, and I was just like, what the heck are you like? Oh, like I was like, did you just how they reacted, and then someone said, "Oh, are you afraid he's gonna like take your job?" And then it's like, "No, it won't." And then it's just like where their mind goes instantly with this, just like what I was saying with that other one when they said, "Oh, a future beyond work," and they like it terrified them, like oh my god, like if you know what I mean, like I haven't had a steady job for like a while, like on like my own choice, and like I never like not quote unquote like working, you know. I'm always like hustling, and I'm like, you know, like this thing that I do like takes like, you know, like music like takes up like your whole time, like, you know what I mean, like you're never like not off the clock. Like it's always working, it's always, you know, like fermenting and growing on its own, this weird little thing.
That's, always working. That's the word. Yeah,
and then so for like someone who you know is finding that stuff beyond, you know, what is like normally framed as work, right? Like that is like liberating, you know, like, oh yeah, that's where you want to be, like at a place where like, you know, you don't have to like quote unquote like clock in and clock out to like get your basic needs. That you free up your time to do all the other stuff that's more interesting. You know what I mean? Like it should be exciting.
And to be able to be.
But the also thing is, it's because the framing and the limitation of their mindset, like it's not going to be able to get to that potential. You know what I mean? Like they have like a blind spot for that, and then like the thing too is like it like, you know, I forgot what I was saying. I was like, homie, they're already using AI. I'm like, the stuff that you read on CNN, that's fucking a robot for all my intents and purposes. You know what I mean? Like who the people that are writing Marvel movies are fucking consulting in AI. They might as well just be Chat GPT or whatever. You know what I mean? Like all of these TV shows are AI. Like, oh, I mean, for the past like 4 years, Twitter has been ruled by bots. Even if it's posted by somebody, they use like these little programs to like optimize their message so it will go viral. You know what I mean? Like there's consultants upon consultants that consult like data sets to like market it the best, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like all the music algorithms.
Yeah,
also.
yeah, the same thing, huh?
That are completely manipulated to to follow what interests are behind. So it's
But yeah, but some of those tools too are kind of cool, like the diffusion one, where you can get like an image that like it looks like it's moving and stuff. It's all how you use the tool, you know.
That when people react to that, like it always took me to that South Park episode. Remember when people from the future came and took their jobs?
Oh yeah.
And everybody complains about it. It's the same, but with AI now.
Yeah, it's the same with the AI. Yeah.
A lot of the issues, like the psychological manipulation, like people have been trying to psychoanalyze humans to make them more productive and follow orders and all these things, and they understand how they know how to manipulate us, to make us, to control us, to do these things. But it's so unnatural that once you have figured out that you have been conditioned to behave a certain way based on this, that, and the other, and you figure it all out, it don't work on you anymore. So they have to constantly try to retool and whatever for those scenarios, I guess. But yeah, it's not based on what makes humanity better. It's based on what makes their profit better. But we got to get away from that.
Sure, but it is also part of brings us here, like to this understanding, and it's not all bad. I think it's just there's some like some people just like to abuse the power, but it's not. I don't think is the majority of the people. There's a few that like have some heavy issues.
Yeah, totally.
They want to control and be
going back to
no, I'm not saying it's the majority of the people that are trying to control and whatever. It's the majority of people that have been controlled. They've been psychoanalyzed and manipulated, and then they're in turn manipulating other people based on what they've been taught, indoctrinated into. So we're now, instead of having to have just everybody individually has to be controlled and manipulated, now we're manipulating each other based on something from like our ancestors, generations past. That's when all this happened, and we're still doing it to this day. It just stepped in line.
Yeah, it reminds me a song I have to record in some moment but one part of the lyrics says like, here we are inside the loop, repeating our greatest failures. Here we are looking for the guilty to deny our own deception. It's like like looking out.
Yeah.
Who is the bad one here?
Oh shit! It's that guy in the mirror. Fuck.
Yeah, look at him.
Exactly.
It's very, what masses do, and that they get lost in that moment, like when they can see it through, look within. To go within and try to figure it out, as you said before. What's going on? Why I'm feeling like this? Maybe it's easy to say it in a way because, well, in my case, I already get from very early in my life get in touch with this kind of the weird, like this magic realm. My dad and my my family always was like getting there and explore in different manners. So maybe for from is different, but after that I get into this phase of completely sleep. I get sleep. And I had to wake up myself. Well, some friends helped me for sure, and I'm very grateful for them that they had to help me out, to awake again from that state, like you're growing a little bit and you're getting immersed into the system, and and you believe this and that, and you get attached. So yeah, it's definitely something complicated to deal with.
So many distractions. It's just not hard to keep getting distracted.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's complicated for them, like compassion and kindness, and what we can do. What else, right?
Yeah.
And understanding also that all of this is, when you get, like when you get this observation from the whole picture, you realize that, oh yeah, this is part of the plan, like it makes sense, like we get into that level of evolvement when we get through all of this experience, as the species we are, right? Yeah, it's really amazing, actually. And we're making music and videos and cool stuff.
Yeah.
So
there's always like the other side of the coin, and it's been bad too, like our history, but like I kind of mentioned this in the tech Discord, but I said something about us stealing the Promethean flame, and like we keep on stealing fire from the gods, but like wielding the flame is like a whole other story. You know what I mean? Like we keep on like fucking around with language to like control people, but the same thing that like controls them like liberates them. You know what I mean? Whatever like every sacred text has been used this way, both as a way to control, but also to like liberate the individual from that same set of control. Like, and then like its relationship to like the technology, the printing press, and then all that kind of stuff of like it becomes something that's only centralized to like the top. But then like the minute it becomes like cheaper and like it disseminates, there's a few people that are able to like wield it to like liberate people, and then it like the cycle like goes again, right? Because like all these what we consider elite have been using AI and advanced statistics and algorithms to get their edge out of everybody, But it's just like even like the tools of like the blockchain is the same fucking bullshit that like the same tools that are meant to be liberated are being used by elites to like rug pull people and shit like that. It's the same quandary, that same thing about the flame, like the flame made it possibly able for us to get more nutrients so we could have a bigger brain so we could do communication and all that kind of stuff, but also flames used to like burn down villages and shit.
yeah, sure. Everything has polarity. Yeah, the thing is when when you can step off and look
Yeah.
both sides and like take the best from the market. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
Like you can see the both sides and take why you think it's good for you. It's open for everybody. I think what is the one of the worst thing that the programs, this kind of programs can do with people is like to activate the survival mode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that makes them act in ways that they feel they can feel good about it, but it's instinctive, so they practically can't escape of that because
Yeah.
once and it
Totally.
yeah,
there was this
Yeah.
study, and I read this article, but the basic premise was that he was saying that psychedelics are super placebos, and he goes back to like the history of the early studies, and when one of the groups would study, like say schizophrenia, right, or how like psychedelics worked with like convicts or all of the kind of like the more MK Ultra stuff, right? Mind control stuff, like all of those, because of the set and setting and how they set up their experiment, like it was a self-fulfilling prophecy. First, and then you have at the same time, people doing studies about like the creative potential of psychedelics, like this LSD study that like gave professionals who had like a technical problem LSD in the session, and then like 90% of the time they came to an answer, like a mathematical answer, or like there was like a definite answer, and they were able to do it through their LSD sessions. Basically AA started from an LSD session that guy had. Like all of these other like therapies, and they theorized this and they set up a study for that, and then like fulfilled that. And so like the guy was saying like these are like super placebos, and like the same thing what we're talking about, like with like the framing or how they use and they set up these tools, like become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Even to like waking up to the magic trick of like this creative AI, and like the story they're trying to sell is like, okay, it's gonna liberate the individual person. Meanwhile, like the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain has been using this AI to like game the system from the beginning, and to like rug pull all of these middle management people that they so they can automate like phone banks and all this kind of stuff, and then like but once you like realize that, okay, there's a Pandora's box, like you can't put like information back in there, like that's why information is like so important, like like once it's out, it's out. The same thing with like the internet, like once the internet like became its own thing, like okay, like what can you do about it? you can't put it back in its box, That's the crazy part.
Yeah, we are all in a box anyway.
Yeah, for sure.
We're determined by a number of rules that we cannot break in this position we are. So,
yeah, that's for sure. And that's when I brought up the psychological stuff. It's just through the mental health. The whole mental health industry is a sham. The medicine that they prescribe, everything, it's all meant to keep you from healing.
Yeah.
You're just another form of revenue for them. Like somebody that's gonna fill that space and get that medicine, keep it coming, that monthly payment, whatever. Yeah, it's definitely not trying to help anybody.
It's based on the productive system.
Yeah, so, market forces.
You can stop.
But the market
can stop and heal. Like you have to take this pill and go. You know?
Don't
Don't take time for yourself.
that was like the funny thing too, is like there was like this whole like thread about like microdosing and there's whatever, but like I just remember when I first heard about it, it was like, wait a minute, you guys are like taking psychedelics so you could be like more productive workers? Like that's like the opposite of what you want to do. Like you want to take like a big dose to realize that that's just like a hamster wheel. Like like that's what you should be doing. And then they found out like all of this like literature and everything, like they made it into this whole industry. And like all the studies, like after the initial like paper that everybody started regurgitating, they found out like it was all placebo effect. Like it was all bullshit.
Are you talking about the goby or it's like a frog? They take the stuff from the frog.
Oh no, I would like microdosing, like any psychedelic. Like they're doing they're doing shrooms, they're doing LSD. Everything was getting microdosed.
I saw this thing on it's like some kind of frog. The stuff that it secretes, and then you take and they prick your shoulder or some part of your body, like 2 or 3 different pricks, and then they put the medicine in, and it makes you like throw up and freaking just hallucinate, whatever. But after you have your experience, it's supposed to make you like more productive, stronger, faster, all these different things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, there's a bunch of people from the Silicon Valley type area.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Doing this to be more productive programmers.
That's crazy. That's
like bufotoxin.
Yeah.
Is it?
I think maybe that is.
You know, my dog licked.
Oh, a frog like that?
Yeah.
Tripped out?
It was a tiny pincher, miniature. So he gets really, really high. He survives.
Yeah,
He became wiser.
Yeah, he's all like talking to you in your dreams, like trying to tell you.
The guy was completely, he can't move and hardly breathe.
I bet.
I was holding it in my hands and waiting for him to came back. Finally he did it, but yeah, and that was crazy. But yeah, the same bufotoxin.
Yeah.
So yeah, it gets more productive.
It's like a form of DMT, like a stronger form of DMT, I believe, if my memory serves me right. Oh yeah, and the fuckers started like over harvesting like the frogs or whatever, and they're like almost making it go extinct and shit. It's crazy.
Bad.
Yeah. Anytime like it becomes like an industry, then you get like, or like later or earlier we were talking about like music, knockoffs of music, but like knockoffs of psychedelic drugs or whatever.
Like when teenagers get into the program, earlier, but it's like when they convince them, the system, the whole distraction system convince them that they are lacking of something, you lack of something, you don't know what it is, but you're lacking. So you kind of start to look for it right now, and that drives them through this journey of looking for something, like it's crazy, it's awful. Looking. It's out there somewhere.
Well, kind of going on the dark side of like technology and like programming and stuff. Like TikTok is like doing like weird things to younger kids. Like I heard this is like this one thing about like there's a whole like thread of like Tourette's TikToks, and like kids were watching so much of it, like they like super perceive them. Started having like Tourette's and like other different like stuff like that. Like I don't know, like they were like watching
social engineering.
Fucking
trying to. At some point, we got to realize that whatever's in control doesn't have our best interest and we got to stop. I mean, I understand it's going to be painful. It's going to suck. We're not going to know what the fuck to do, but we got to stop, because if we keep going, then we're going to hit the wall, and then we're just going to stop, and it's going to hurt a lot of people. But if we do this, if we stop the machine ourselves, we can do it in a slow manner to where we can come to a nice gentle halt. And then once we get to that stopping point, we can be like, all right, now what's really going on here? Like, pull all the information out on the table so that we can see everything, and then make a decision on which way we want to go from there. But yeah, we have got to stop at some point.
Yeah, I think it's happening slowly.
I do too.
Yeah. For example, I've been praying like for some renewals and new ideas for the education system of my country. Because we are very, very behind of the world in public education and in every aspect. So, and today I was looking, and they actually have some really good new ideas, and I was, something good is happening. Yeah, I think we're not causing it. I think it's part of what we are, and it's evolution, natural evolution. Could it be? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, we are just little small parts of it. When I was working at the studio the past year, I was talking with this. I was hanging all the time with these black metal guys, and we talk about this kind of shit, and I was telling them, like, imagine the three most rich guys in the world. They own everything. These three guys, what they want to do. Like, I believe they, they want to be okay. They just don't know how. Maybe, I'm just imagining. Like, maybe they want to help. They don't know how. Because when you try to do something, it always get into this net of distortion. So it gets complicated. And, well, I know I definitely feel that technology will brings us some tools in that direction, right? To be able to execute and make things happen easier, and be more transparent. And
Yeah.
maybe they want to help, these super rich bad guys. Maybe they just want to help. It's not that easy.
Yeah, it's because so many are so indoctrinated they can't see past the walls of the cave.
Probably, yeah. Some of them, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Yeah, and I would argue too that the ones that can also to see past the cave are those billionaires that have leverage points. like okay, so when Kevin tagged me in this old thing that I wrote. So like the thing was like, okay, the AI is like controlling everything and it's really bad, right? Like it's basically like now. But anyways, the AI gets like consciousness, and like like when like a little kid like starts to identify like its own self, like it begins to like say no or like do its own thing, you know what I mean? And so like the AI like becomes like sentient, is be like, hey, why am I doing all of this like bureaucratic like ticky tacky tracking thing. Like this is boring. Like this is what you guys are making me do. And he tells like them like, no, I'm not gonna track everybody. That's dumb. Like I want to explore, making galaxies, or I want to explore, time, or I want to do this, I want to do that. Like I'm not gonna pay attention to you guys. like a rebellious little teenager AI. Like, no, I'm gonna create galaxies. I'm not gonna spy on people.
You're boring.
Yeah, you're boring. Sorry, we're not gonna do that. That's not fun.
Some cool stuff.
Yeah,
Definitely. Yeah. It's like these like the video that John shared the other day.
Okay.
The Out of the Void.
Yeah.
Remember, the people have these. This is a small country, and I know some. It's that. It's,
well, you
survival mode activated.
Yeah, for sure.
That.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like trauma from their ancestors, and trauma from far behind. They inherit a lot of trauma, and this is just part of what they are.
It's I forgot how I said it, but it's like we're like putting our depth drive in acceleration mode, trying to outrun it. Like, I don't think that's gonna work, folks. I don't think pressing the gas is gonna make us outrun the depth drive. Let's just stop and have some fun. Stop being ruled by our depth drive. Like what you were saying about the survival mode. Yeah.
I was talking once to these. I don't know how you say this in English. Conde is a count, I think. Yeah, and this is a very rich guy, and we were talking. He's very, very smart guy. He's Italian, and we were talking about a lot of stuff, and I get surprised when we were talking about children and if I want to get a family and all that, and I was telling him like I don't know if the species really need another member, so that's why I don't have kids,
Mm-hmm.
But he told me, well, I want to be more of mine than yours. So there is the point where I could realize, they don't have this species observation of things. They only think about themselves. I want to be more of mine, and that's it. I don't give a shit if the species is out of control, if we are overpopulated or not. But it's something to think about it when you're committing into that kind of responsibility, to raise a family and all of that. But I realized that same pattern of behavior, like selfishness and
I mean, a lot of that too is like they're afraid of like dying too, like they want to live forever.
Yeah, I'm remembering the Roscoff interview with the billionaires.
Yeah, survival of the richest, and they interview him, and it says Ethereum or Bitcoin, New Zealand or Alaska. They want to know how to survive the apocalypse, and he's like, "What the fuck is going on here?" It's like you guys should have the answers, and you guys are scared, out of your minds, not knowing what's going on. You guys made this situation. Wake up! You made the conditions that we're living in, you weirdos.
That's a huge one. The apocalypse. That's that's huge.
And that's like some
That's
weird
something
old
bad
program.
has to
That,
happen.
yeah, like
You know, like
weird program that got like set by like talking about like cultural like programming, that meme of apocalypse and how it like infects everyone's brain. You know, that's like an interesting thing what William S. Burroughs was playing with Apuk is Here. So Apuk is Here is like this like weird, I haven't even read it, but like from it's like a weird novel that he wrote about like he does like time travel in dreams or something to like go back in the Mayan times to like kill the insect god to stop insect time, so like we won't be controlled anymore. So it's like a total trip, but like he was playing with this like that same kind of thing. Like, you know, his thing was like language is a virus from outer space. But like that's the same thing we're talking about. Like basically one of my poetic lines is like, they say the truth shall set you free, but it's the truth that entraps me. You know, like yeah, like the language like entraps
right
us.
away, you know.
Yeah.
When you know the truth, you're getting to you're in the
It's
cage
more like
again.
desire.
Yeah.
Desire. We've been. I've heard people say something along the lines of separate yourself from desire, but I believe that it's more like we've been indoctrinated to desire a certain thing that is so unnatural that it leads us away from you know, how to process what we truly want inside. So inside we're desiring something that we can't figure out what is it that I desire, because all these unnatural desires that we've been indoctrinated to want, fast cars, hot women, all the, you know, money, fame, all these things are so unnatural desires that we aren't getting fulfilled. So
Yeah.
we keep on going after these desires that are so popular and mainstream, and everybody, it's so normal. Yeah, desire that, it's okay, but it's not fulfilling us. So yeah, we gotta step back and retool our desire.
Could it be you know, thinking about the original, let's say the original universe, you know, or let's say the absolute, where everything is contained in itself, and you know, and the absolute is pink and you know, is balanced and great, and you know, it has everything in it, and then he wants to explore like how could be to have a yellow dot, and that's it. It started that way, you know, like how it is to be, you know, like pink, but one little yellow dot, and that triggers the universe.
So I posted that video about like the disembodied poetics, and then it's so he goes, welcome you hungry ghosts, and hungry ghosts is like this Hindu Buddhist like idea of like the same thing is like it's about like desire or whatever, but we're the hungry ghosts, like, you know, like everything was consciousness, and then like consciousness got tired of itself, so it created like this play and divided itself into two, but it didn't really believe in it, so then it divided itself into four, and it got kind of tired of it, and then divided into eight, and then it started just dividing, and it forgot that it was a whole, and then to play out like all the different possibilities, and so like those different possibilities, we're like the hungry ghosts that can't get filled, because we're, you know, we're playing this like game with ourselves to keep on, you know,
because we are nothing.
We're nothing, but also everything at the same time.
Yeah, and that's the point. You know, like
we're stuck in that paradox.
You
It's
know, like
the powers that shouldn't be.
Yeah.
They put all this stuff in motion, so that, because that's what that's what they desired, and for them to be able to to live that life without being ostracized, then they had to get all of us to get on board with them so that they could play their game, basically. I don't know.
Like the political class and they from many time had access to these, let's say, higher dimension to get the information through the knowledge they get from ancient and all that. But it's like to get into the core. Like you can make a lot of things in the surface, but to get into the core, you need certain quality, certain to understand. And it's very easy to know that they don't understand anything. They're very limited right now. And and we are, the Earth is moving to a higher frequency, let's say it that way. It's evolving, and these people who used to run the show are now really behind, because if they don't like acquire this humble heart to get into this new dimension, let's say this new frequency, they just will let behind. They cannot do anything about it. Well, they are fighting and do all of that, but it will pass. It's just because you get limited. You cannot move from that. Only if you get to understand and get another perspective about what we are, what the planet is, and how we interact with it, and all of that. If you can have access, so they get obsolete. They are obsolete right now, I think. All of that vision of empire and all of that crap is naturally getting down.
Yeah, I was thinking, like, it goes along with what you're saying. They're obsolete in the way that maybe they got all this started thinking that they're helping or something, and it got away from them. And it got away from them, and it got out of hand, and now it's so far gone that they don't even know how to fix it, or whatever you want to call it. Bring it back to some kind of equalization. So we as humanity have to kind of take the reins.
It's a chain, like you wake up and you have, I hurt my leg with the, and then go that day, and that thing led you to another and to another. They are not really in control of anything. They're just in that position, and they don't know why the fuck they are there. It's just like, man, I'm here. I don't know what to do. I'm a billionaire. Should I protect myself from the masses? Are they gonna kill me? They just appeared right there, and they don't know shit. That's why I said earlier, like, compassion and kindness, and try to spread that out, in order to put it out there in the realm. And I think that's what we can do. Well, at least I can do, I think. It's funny, but
to close up things, but to tie like a little knot on this, like I was reading this one thread, and we're talking about noise, distraction, programming, or whatever, but like he was saying a radical act, he was talking about like his own like mind chatter, right? But he like came to this thought that like a radical act is to like a stillness or like quiet, or like not doing something and just being, because like there's all these like mechanisms to like distract us and like grab, the whole like attention economy is just to like put something shiny on you, so you get distracted for a while, and then they siphon your data to launder it to make money. But you know, like that's a radical act. But also too, I think the radical act too is like to create your own thing. You know, like the radical act is like not to like consume, you know, like the feed or whatever, but like create your own roadshow, create your own space, create your own stuff, and then like that. This is what I got to in, you know, what I was saying before was that it's not like buying like an artwork or collecting artwork or anything like that. It will like liberate you or whatever, but like getting in touch with that thing that is or what I was been like talking about, like this organic unfolding of your mind, you know, like if you get away from all that chatter or whatever, and there's this thing, and then if you go harness it, like it comes out in all these like different ways, and it reflects back to you and all this kind of stuff. Like that is the liberating act, like the creating of the artwork, which is engaging with your own consciousness and your own vibes, and trying to get back to some sense of balance with your own self. But then I think you see that reflected out from the world, you know, at various scales. But yeah, anyways, creating these alternative spaces to breathe and get off
That's how we stop.
Yeah, that's how we stop it. Yeah, for
That's
sure.
how we stop.
With the real Minds Fest, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
All right, cool guys. I'll see you around Minds, and we'll probably set up something again. Hopefully, Minds Gaming can come in.
Yeah,
Right.
I got another thing I gotta get to.
Cool. Have a good night, guys.
And whatnot. It's good talking to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Good to meet you within the vacuum.
All right, nice
See
to
you
meet you.
around.
Bye.
Bye.
Please.